Tad, Mudhoney, and Soundgarden are pretty much the only bands from Seattle I personally have liked.
Well, he was in this band, Nirvana.
Buy their record.
They're an amazing Seattle band, and we were huge fans of theirs. And simultaneously, at the time that our bass player quit, he left Nirvana, so we asked him if he wanted to check it out. He was already a big fan.
Two legendary bands, Soundgarden and Nirvana, are often hailed as two of the best alternative or grunge bands coming from the Seattle, Washington region in the 1980s. Though the styles differed, their connection ran deep, influencing not only the early 1990s Seattle music scene, but also influencing multiple generations of music fans and musicians. You could argue that both bands were elevated by each other at different times. Their frontmen, Kurt Cobain and Chris Cornell, were probably more acquaintances than friends, but they had undeniable mutual respect and admiration for each other. Nirvana and Soundgarden helped bring alternative rock into the mainstream and onto the charts. Soundgarden, which formed in 1984, would eventually be the first of a number of grunge bands to work with Sub Pop Records, the label synonymous with Seattle's grunge explosion. Jonathan Poneman, who was working as a DJ at the time, was impressed by a Soundgarden performance and offered to fund a recording, and that is what effectively got the Sub Pop label started. Soundgarden's early Sub Pop EPs, Screaming Life released in 1987 and Fop released in 1988, captured their heavier, more raw sound. Kurt Cobain especially liked the Screaming Life EP, and that was one of the reasons he wanted to go to Reciprocal Studios and record with its producer Jack Endino for Nirvana's first album Bleach in 1988. Soundgarden's debut full-length album, Ultra Mega OK, was released in 1988 by another independent label out of California called SST, but it wasn't until their second album, Louder Than Love, which was recorded independently, but then released on A&M Records in 1989. This was a big deal, as even though it wasn't initially successful or that well received, it made them the first grunge band to sign to a major label. This opened the doors for others, including Nirvana, whose eventual leap to Geffen Records in 1991 marked the arrival of grunge to the mainstream. Nirvana, led by Kurt Cobain, along with Chris Novoselic, came slightly later, forming in 1987. While early Soundgarden had more of a heavy metal sound and vibe, Nirvana had some heavy riffs of their own. But as Kurt described it,
And then we started getting too much into straight-ahead garage grunge music, and that's pretty much what Bleach was like. And then Nevermind was more pop, a little bit more commercial, and now we're kind of reverting back to the first thing, which would sound more like Incesticide, just weirder stuff.
Kurt Cobain owned a red or brown left-handed Mustang style guitar in late 1988, which eventually wore a Soundgarden sticker in January of 1989 on top of a bare sanded down wood finish. The Mustang has been at times referred to as a Grecco Mustang copy, or possibly an actual legit Fender Mustang, although it did not bear a headstock decal, so it may have been a parts caster of some sort. It was customized with a vinyl record of a Christian sermon as a pickguard, and a Univox Phase 3 bridge humbucker and controls. By April 7th of 1989, the body had been refinished in light blue or green paint, and now had a white pearl pickguard. This guitar was barely visible for the photo used on the Bleach album cover. The guitar disappeared for a while, but the same guitar is said to have been used again and destroyed on February 9th, 1990 at the Pine Street Theater show, and then later ended up at the Museum of Pop Culture in Seattle. Another Nirvana Soundgarden connection is with Jason Everman, who was involved with both bands. From February 7th, 1989 until his last show on July 18th, 1989 at the Pyramid Club in New York City, Jason Everman toured with Nirvana, playing around 31 shows as their second guitarist, to round out the band's sound and take some of the pressure off Kurt so that he could give more stage presence as a frontman. Although he had not played a single note on Nirvana's Bleach album, the band honored him by listing his name on the album on the initial releases, since he paid for the album recording fee of $606.17, which would be the equivalent of $1,541 in 2024. Kurt, Chris, and Chad actually spoke about Jason's departure from Nirvana in an interview from April 18, 1990 in Cambridge, Massachusetts, which took place shortly before Chad Channing was let go.
So what happened with Jason?
He's a bass player for Soundgarden.
Yeah, but I mean,
that's what happened. He wasn't really in the band anymore. It just didn't work out.
During the week that we kicked him out, he tried out for Soundgarden. It worked out. It was awesome.
So we're very happy for him. And
So we like the guy and stuff still, you know.
We love him.
He's a good friend of ours and all that.
power pop. But I mean, we're not totally changing over. It's just that Jason didn't like that idea, I don't think.
No, he wants.
He just wanted to play more heavy. He liked the heavier, grungier stuff. And we had a few songs that we hadn't recorded that he really liked, and we didn't want to do them. Mainly, I didn't want to do them because I'm such a dictator, and it just didn't mesh.
In November 1989, a month before Soundgarden was to start touring for the Louder Than Love album, original bassist Hiro Yamamoto left the band to return to college. It is said that he was frustrated with his role as he was not offered any input in the songwriting or direction of the band. From December 1989 to March 1990, Soundgarden recruited and toured with Jason Everman to fill the role as their bassist. However, his only Soundgarden recording was a cover of the Beatles song Come Together, which appeared on the EP Loudest Love.
Who's the new bassist?
You are.
Really? I guess you'd have to answer that one.
Jason, we decided to have you in the band. Congratulations.
Yeah.
All right. This is it. This is our new bass player, Jason Everman.
What band am I from?
You're from...
He's formerly you were from Nirvana.
Oh, I thought you were from the
Nirvana.
Archies.
You played guitar in Nirvana.
Yeah.
Okay.
He learned all of our recorded songs in a few weeks, and when we chose him, all we had to do was just go play.
In 1990, after Jason Everman was fired from Soundgarden, his replacement on bass, Ben Shepherd, was another Nirvana connection. According to Ben Shepherd, he was once offered to be the lead guitarist for Nirvana in 1990, a role for which he accepted. But he said it was all a setup, it was all a scam appeasing me to see if I'd fit or not. So we went on tour and I wound up only playing the sound check in Minneapolis, the first stop on the tour. He said he played Kurt's guitar while he was out back being sick. Although that's an oddity in the story, because how was he playing the guitar left-handed when he's actually right-handed? He goes on to say, and that was the only time I played with them. The rest of the tour I was a glorified t-shirt salesman. That's all they really wanted.
And we're back now with the stars of tonight's show, Soundgarden, and Kimmy's still with me, but now I've been joined by new bass player, Ben. Hi Ben, welcome to MTV. Why both previous bassists, Hiro Yamamoto and Jason Everman, left the band?
Hiro left on his own free will. He'd been in the band for 5 years, and I think he wanted to pursue other interests. He's gone back to school and he's studying chemistry. The way I see, we pretty much had two bass players. We had Hiro, and he played on the records up until then, and then Ben's on the new record. In the interim, we had a bass player, Jason, who was with us for 6 months, and I think things weren't working out. I think when Hiro left, it was a definite big hole in the band, and it would have been a lot of pressure for anyone to fill the shoes at that point in time, and it wasn't working out.
Ben Shepherd would remain with Soundgarden up until their breakup in 1997, and then again when they reformed in 2010 until Chris Cornell's death in 2017. Another Nirvana Soundgarden connection lies within Chris Cornell's wife, Susan Silver. Susan Silver is well known for managing several Seattle-based rock bands including Alice in Chains, Screaming Trees, and Soundgarden. She also was Soundgarden vocalist Chris Cornell's wife from 1990 until 2004. Silver was instrumental in advising Nirvana and educating them on how the music industry worked when they were in pursuit of the major label contract. Chris thanked her in his acceptance speech at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2014.
Thank you, Susan Silver, for introducing us to the music industry properly. And thank you all again.
Susan Silver is also now part owner of the Crocodile, a well-known small music club in Seattle where Nirvana played when it was known as the Crocodile Cafe. The Crocodile still exists today, although since November of 2020, it has since relocated to a larger building a few blocks away from the original. Bad Motorfinger, Soundgarden's third studio album, was released on October 8, 1991, just 2 weeks after Nirvana's Nevermind album. The album spawned the successful singles Outshined, Rusty Cage, and Jesus Christ Pose, and went on to go double platinum in sales. Although it wasn't until 1994 when they achieved their biggest success, when they released Super Unknown, which contained the hugely popular singles Black Hole Sun and Spoon Man, both of which won Grammy Awards. Although not quite as popular or impactful as Nevermind, Bad Motorfinger is a great album in its own right and largely benefited from the success of Nevermind. Soundgarden carried on their success with their follow-up album from 1996, Down on the Upside, which was also popular and included the singles Pretty News, Burden in My Hand, and Blow Up the Outside World. After that, they broke up and went on hiatus from 1997 until 2010. Tragedy struck the grunge world in 1994 when Kurt Cobain died at the age of 27. The loss was devastating, especially for his fellow musicians in the music industry, including Soundgarden. Soundgarden eventually reunited in 2010 and released their sixth album, King Animal, in 2012. And unfortunately, Chris Cornell's own death in 2017 echoed the sorrow and pain that Seattle's music community had experienced 2 decades earlier. But today, both bands' legacies endure and will carry on for new generations of fans to enjoy. On night 2 of the Taylor Hawkins tribute held in Los Angeles on September 27, 2022, the remaining Nirvana members, Dave Grohl, Chris Novoselic, and Pat Smear got together with Kim Thayil and Matt Cameron on drums to perform a pair of Soundgarden songs, The Day I Tried to Live and Black Hole Sun. Taylor Momsen, vocalist of The Pretty Reckless, sang lead on both songs. Dave Grohl played guitar along with Pat and Kim. The Pretty Reckless had opened for Soundgarden at Chris Cornell's final show on May 17, 2017 in Detroit, the night before he was found dead in his hotel room. Other than their tragic deaths, Chris Cornell and Kurt Cobain shared some similarities. As musicians, both were primarily known for their songwriting and rhythm guitar work. Also, both were known for their unique, powerful voices. Cobain's voice was known to be raw and anguished, while Chris Cornell's voice was more expansive and characterized by a wide range and a seemingly soulful, operatic quality. Despite their vocal differences, both men could express intense emotion through their singing, often conveying pain, angst, and frustration. Both had the ability to not only play drums, but also to sing and play drums at the same time. In fact, Chris Cornell was actually the drummer and vocalist for Soundgarden in their early days. Both artists shared a commitment to authenticity and rawness in their sound, throwing out polished production for a more gritty type of vibe. At times, Cornell's songwriting was more complex, blending elements of heavy metal, progressive rock, and psychedelia. His compositions sometimes included intricate time signatures, changes in dynamics, and unconventional structures. With Chris Cornell living 23 years longer than Kurt Cobain, we got an opportunity to see him evolve and experience his contributions to Soundgarden, Audioslave, and his solo work, which have all left an undeniable mark on rock music. I really wish we would have gotten the chance to see more of what Kurt would have done. Alright, that's going to do it for this one. Don't forget to subscribe and smash that like button, and I'll see you next time.